Well, welcome to this first live stream here on this channel, on the Sacred Symbols channel. My name is Helmar, and right on the dot, my partner tonight, my partner in crime, has arrived. And without much ado, the owner, manager, CEO of Star Code Schools, having studied health science at the Goddard College Literature English at Salve Regina University, physical science at Northeastern University, and studied at Maharishi International University from Newport, Rhode Island. In the blue corner, the inimitable Karyn Chabot. We have to add her. There she is.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Yay.
Can we record? You want to hit the record button?
No, the record button has been hit. Everything is working fine. We are live.
Oh, good. Okay.
To an audience of about 2 gazillion people on this planet. And we are going to educate them about the cards tonight. Karyn, it's a pleasure.
It is an ultimate pleasure to be working with you and getting your app out there, making sure the world knows about it and knows about this amazing galactic technology, which I title the 52 Star Codes. Other people call it Cardology. So where do you want to begin? Should we show people what the app looks like?
No. Before once again. So here we are. Karyn, when did you find out about the cards and what made you acquaint yourself a little more with this and dive into this and then ultimately write a book about it or a series of books?
Good question. In about 1998, I met a Vedic astrologer. Her name was Bethala, and she was working at the Ayurvedic yoga department in the Ayurvedic Institute in New Mexico. And she gave me a Vedic astrology reading, but then she said, but wait, you're also a 4 of hearts. I said, what has that to do with Vedic astrology? What cards, huh? And I will never forget that. I have it still. And, I kept notes and I was intrigued. And then in 2002, I went to Costa Rica. I was invited to train the staff at the Pura Vida R&R Resort Spa in Ayurvedic massage. And there was a woman that told me about this system. And I was actually giving her a massage, this one particular woman. And she said, oh, you got married during your Jupiter cycle. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And I wasn't even Vedic astrology, all of that was. Anyways, long story short, she summed it up, put the planets in order, and realized that May 26th, the date of my marriage, was in my 52-day Jupiter cycle. And she told me a little bit about that, and she intrigued me. And then we had dinner at the cafeteria, and I was intrigued. And then 2 years after that, and I remember in the back of my mind, I need to look at that. I need something about that. And then 2 years later, a woman that she did body talk healing. Her name was Katya, and she was at the Pura Vida Spa, one of the best top healers at the spa. She came to Newport. I housed her for 3 months. We became best friends, and she kept showing me Robert Lee Camp's book. She said, "You've got to read this." And I looked at the cover. It was really, ostentatious, kind of bright reds. And it just, made me think of Walmart or something. And I thought, no, this is gambling. This is gypsies. And I couldn't. But I was still interested because she was, and I respected her. And then finally, before she left, I realized there was some truth because I gave her my clientele. And then when I would see my clientele, they would tell me that, yes, Katya is a profound healer, but whatever that card thing she did at the end, it was so accurate that I want to come back just for that. And then I thought, okay, if all my clients who were like family to me, I trusted them over the years. You get to know these people. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I read the book and I started seeing truths. And then I was compelled because then I could see who might be a good match for me. And I was we're all looking for love, right? So I was in the market for where's Mr. Man? And it was very helpful to distinguish who would be compatible and who wouldn't be. So I was intrigued mostly by that because, why else learn this? And then more information came in, more and more. And then I thought, okay, this is way beyond love and romance. This is actually like the book of time. And I then decided to give up the Newport Massage School, which I had opened in Rhode Island. And it was just killing me to run that school by myself. And I moved from massage, which was 35-year industry, into my hobby. So I thought was cards. And so it became a full-time gig and everybody wanted their cards read. And so that's what I'm doing now. And I combine it with Vedic astrology. And the book just was always in my mind. For the last 10 years, I've been working on it bit by bit. And now I have 5 books that really was supposed to be one book. But it became so big that I thought it wasn't going to be practical. And I didn't want the font to be really small. And I wasn't wanting a huge, wide book. So I made 5, hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades, and then a master book. And now I'm in the process of bringing it back to one big fat book, and I'm just going to have to shrink the font. And I am simplifying it. So I'm going to take some chapters out that might have confused people and make it more for beginners. And then I have a lot more books in my head around this card system that will eventually be published as well.
So just in case you were wondering, this is exactly what a 4 of hearts looks like, because Karyn sits with most of her cards on the Neptune line. Sort of, we'll be talking about this and showing you a little later. And she herself sits in the Mercury position of the Neptune line. So that woman can go out into the deep space of cardology with her mind and her spiritual knowledge and experience. My story is a little shorter. You want to hear?
Sure.
But it's nevertheless colorful. I was on a Russian dating site, and I met a young Russian lady. It was 13 years ago. We're talking about 2012, and she then sort of moved to New Zealand, where she's still living. And about a year or 2 later, she said, "Helmar, if you read this book, you'll never look at people with the same eyes again." And it was the same book, Robert Kemp's Love Cards book,
Yeah.
And I ordered this, and obviously sort of you look up your birth card and your planetary ruler, and what I read there, I could have checked it, everything in green. Like if I had any to mark it, in green or in red, it would have been all green, because whatever stood there, whatever Robert had written there, was accurate. And I thought, well, if that applies to me, if that is so accurate for me, it will be accurate for other people as well. And then I started using that system, or sort of reading from the system at my Master Key seminars on Mallorca. I had like week-long seminars with an exclusive group of people, and they wanted to know. So I read them from the book, explained a little bit, and became more and more intrigued. And 2018, I started writing a web application. And last year, I started writing a mobile app, and we'll be talking about that as well, because you might be interested in hearing more about you. You, the dear viewer of this live stream, or whenever it's gone live. That was our introduction. We shall I do this, or do you want to do this?
You blipped out, so I didn't get to hear what you said.
I blipped out. Okay. Oh, it's interesting because maybe it doesn't do the sound, which is interesting because I'm on the scenes. Okay, right. Good to know. It's the first time I'm using it. So I was just showing the slide and was saying sort of we're going to be talking a little bit about the history, sort of whether you want to do this or I want to do this.
Talking about history?
The history of the cards.
You want to give I can do a very short version, or you can give.
I'll do an even shorter one.
Okay, you might be doing it shorter.
Apparently comes from China about sort of like 1200, so it's dating back a long time and found its way via Persia to Egypt, and then was brought back, or not brought back, but brought into Europe by soldiers. And they used the cards to play in between battles because you're not fighting 24 hours a day. So they had like pastime, and they played cards, and the cards, different countries, different cards, different emblems. And that sort of like crystallized in a way sort of over time into the deck that we're using now, where we have like 13 cards. Obviously, we have 3 court cards with a jack, a queen, and a king. And it wasn't always the case. The Germans, for instance, they didn't have a queen. That came through the French. Then, obviously, sort of it became a thorn in the side of the authorities, so they started to tax it. They couldn't really forbid it, but sort of they started taxing it. And the deck of cards, those who reproduced the deck of cards, they could only market them or sort of sell them once they had paid taxes. And it came that sort of the Ace of Spades was the card that was issued by the government. And if you look at the deck of cards, the Ace of Spades looks different, the emblem, compared to the other cards, the other aces. So, once the company had paid the tax, then sort of the Ace of Spades was issued, then the deck of cards was complete, and they could sell it. And then I guess everybody knows about the cards, playing them. But I don't think, for me, they are amazing. And I'm sure you will agree, because they are the most simple representation of natural cycles, principles, and qualities. And we'll be looking at another slide just now. And they are combining 3 different levels, in a fractal manner. And I haven't seen anything like this. I haven't seen this in astrology. I haven't seen this in numerology. I haven't seen this in gene keys or in human design, how those 3 levels interact over time. And that is actually quite magical. What do you think?
I am totally with you. It is mind-blowing. I'm going to add, though, to go back further, I believe that this deck of cards was given to us by galactic beings from the star Orion, and these cards are on every star and every planet, depending on the consciousness of the planet. Right now we're in duality, where 2 eyes, 2 hands, and 4 seasons, and that's why we quadrate the way we quadrate. But these cards can be quadrated differently, and depending on which planet. So every planet has a guidebook, and that's how it came to us through benevolent ETs. Actually, maybe they weren't so benevolent to begin with. Honestly, they did this as an experiment to see if we would fight with one another, because the power was so big, and they were right. We did. There was persecution, and then we had to hide them in plain sight, and that's why we did go fish and go war, and bridge and poker, to keep them alive. And then you started with China, and then from there, all that you said is true.
No, you are. It's interesting. I'm busy figuring this out. I just noticed that sort of when I sort of do these different views, it cuts out the other person, and sort of like, you're gone now, so you won't, nobody will hear you. So I have to go back to my sort of stage thingy there. Then we are back both with sound and image.
So can everybody hear that, what I just said?
Yeah, everybody heard what you said. Just when I switched over.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I wanted to have you like full screen, and I could only do this once you were on, basically in the studio, and so I had to quickly activate you. That's why you saw me full screen first, and then you.
Okay.
If we look at them, I mean, the nice thing about the cards is that everybody's familiar with them. Everybody has played cards at one point in their life. I mean, everybody has heard of poker. Everybody has used phrases from the card language, so to say, to, have an ace up your sleeve and put the cards on the table, sort of to play with, sort of hidden cards and things like that. And in German, it's even more impressive because there's a whole array of expressions that related to the cards. But I don't think many people have really thought about what is really and truly behind them.
True. They're actually codes. Cards are codes, and there's a mathematical, like a numerical code. Each card has a number, and whenever you number anything, then you can start adding, subtracting, multiplying, creating formulas, and you can move in and out of different densities by adding 2 star codes. They're also called solar values, the numerical code behind each card. This is what makes it different from tarot, where you just randomly throw out the tarot cards and you are measuring the moment of consciousness in that exact time frame, which is very valuable and insightful. But this is more like astrology, where if you have astrology software, you know that this is math and science. It is not based on a random throw. So there's nothing random about it, which really is the magical part. It is all very, very specific each day, each week. And you can see that we don't live necessarily in 100% free will. There is some destiny component to our lives.
Now it's beautifully put. The cards, I always say, are the best approximation to. No, it's not that. It is an approximation, but it's the best try to describe in a systematic manner human life, given that sort of we do have free will to an extent.
Yes.
And that sort of a lot of people are exercising their free will, not necessarily to their benefit.
True.
But sort of the cards are trying to bring the vagaries of human life, of the individual's life, as close to natural developmental and evolutionary cycles as possible. And we have postulated those cycles because they don't just sort of pop up. We've been observing nature sort of very closely and have postulated those rhythms, those cycles and subcycles. And 3 of them are encoded in the cards.
Let's talk about those 3. How do you see them? What is your perception of those 3 levels?
Well, in that case, I'll have to go, and we're going to go quiet. We'll be looking at the system itself. I'm still sort of, and I have to actually make a plan now, because while we are talking, I want still to show this. So I'm going to add us, but because of this display, we should not be visible. We should only be audible. Otherwise, we'll make a plan. Let me do. Right. We should both be audible.
Say something. I can hear you. Yes. I
excellent.
Can hear you. Yes.
Right. So if you look at you see 2 different displays there.
I do. I see the natural spread and the mundane spread.
Excellent. Right. We'll be ignoring the one on the right. We'll be looking at the natural spread for now. And anyone who's looking at this will notice immediately that the order of the cards is actually in order, in a natural order. We start at the top right in the Mercury column and the Mercury line. And if you just look at this just randomly, you'll see we have 52 cards in total. We'll have 7 rows or lines, and we have 7 columns. And 7 by 7 or 7 times 7 is 49. So we've got 3 cards left, and they are placed in the so-called crown line right above that 7 by 7 matrix. And you'll see that sort of it starts with the heart cards, and it starts with an ace of hearts, and the 2 and the 3 and the 4, the 5, the 6 and the 7. And that jumps onto the next line again from the right, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, and King. And then we start with the next suit, same pattern from ace to king, next suit diamonds, ace to king, next suit spades, ace to 10 of spades. Then we've got our 49 cards complete, and then the Jack, Queen, and King of the spade suit in the so-called crown line. So what we notice here is everything is in order. And you'll see that there is an order in the suits, because the heart suit stands for spring, the club suit stands for summer, the diamond suit stands for autumn, and the spade suit stands for winter, or represents winter. And after winter, you'll see the king of spades at the top left. It all starts all over again in spring with the ace of hearts. So there is one natural cycle, one rhythm in the suits: hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. The desire for something, the love that wants to create more, the clubs that actually do create more, that bring growth and communication on every level in summer. Then the evaluation and the harvest and the materialization with the diamonds in autumn, and then the spade suit in winter, where it's about spirituality, about work, about health, and preparing for the next spring that is sure to come. That's the first level. The second level, excuse my quick monologue here, we'll see in the cards themselves, from ace to king, from ace to king, from ace to king, from ace to king. And there we see 7 odd cards and 6 even cards. And all those, everyone who's dealt with the Zolkin calendar of the Maya will remember the 13 tones of the Zolkin calendar. And on the Chichen Itza pyramid, we have also encoded the 7 days and the 6 nights. You know, the days they learn and the nights they apply. And the same applies to the cards as well. On the odd cards, we learn, we expand. And on the even cards, we apply and we solidify. We make things a little bit more ordered and structured. So there we have the desire that starts with the ace, and we have the mastery that ends with the king. And then this third level is this level of the planets. That was something that was more difficult for me to grasp initially, because I thought, like, sort of, what meaning do the planets have? And the planets do have a meaning, and the meaning is that everything starts with a mental construct. Everything is an idea. Everything starts as an idea. Then in our dimension, with the polarity of male and female, positive and negative, plus and minus, active and passive, and interestingly, the Earth being placed between Venus, an inner planet, and Mars, an outer planet, if we play this polarity right, the polarity between the male side and the female side, the active and the passive side, then we get rewarded with Jupiter, because Jupiter expands. And, you know, if we play male and female right, it leads to expansion. Then Saturn comes and brings some order and some structure, you know, because it reminds us, you can't expand, because if things expand too much, if they're not being controlled and put into order and structure, then they become anti-life. So we need some kind of shape and form and boundaries, yes, things that we can rely on. Otherwise, we won't sort of derive a benefit. Then Uranus comes, and Uranus breaks up the boundary, because if Saturn becomes too rigid, that's also as anti-life as too much expansion. You know, too many boundaries and borders and too much order and structure is just as anti-life as is too much expansion. So Uranus makes sure that sort of there's fresh wind, you know, sort of blown into this whole creation or process of creation. And then sort of Neptune comes and says to Uranus, what you have like destroyed and sort of broken up, I'm going to heal. I'm going to create new visions out of this, and I'm preparing this for the next cycle. I'm dreaming up new ideals, new ideas on a higher level of consciousness. And Neptune is the 7th planet, and 7 is the the combination of 3 and 4, the spiritual side and the organized side, the human side. So there is the interaction between the material side and the spiritual side. And then once the year is complete, then comes the birthday, and then comes our Mercury period again. So we can process this with the mind again, and the whole process starts all over again. And that is the third level of encoding in the cards, which is quite beautiful. That was long, Karyn. Your turn.
That was very well said. The order in which Helmar was talking about the planets isn't random. He talked about Mercury first because it is first, and that's the order we count. And the direction that he was counting on the spiritual spread, or I call it the coherent spread, where everything, the natural spread, there's so many different names for it, could be heaven spread, but you can see how coherent the system is, where we, like Egyptians or Hebrews, we read from right to left instead of the other way. The way we read in the United States is left to right, but this is against the natural rhythm. So all these directions and the order, so reading from right to left and then dropping down to the next row, is very important if you're going to understand how to develop formulas and, progress and remember all of the significations of these templates. This is the foundation of the entire system, these 2 templates. And so direction in order of the planets that he discussed. And what was the other thing you said? There were the 3 levels?
Yeah, the seasons, and then sort of the second one was the odd and the even cards within each suit.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, the seasons are also very significant. Just like in Ayurvedic medicine, we are born kapha, and it's earth and water when you combine it. And when you combine earth and water, you make mud, and that's spring season. So kapha is in the spring season, and our lives go in order of kapha to pitta to vata. And those are the 3 doshas, which are biological principles that line up with the system. So when Helmar is explaining these levels, it's very important to note the exact order. So it starts with the spring, and we end in the winter, which is the old age, which is vata, and it's the wisdom of the deck, these spades. And the planets always start with Mercury, and the same thing with Ayurvedic medicine. Disease begins in the mind, and then it becomes manifest. So being first, Mercury, governing the intellect, it's actually Buddhi in Sanskrit. Mercury is the intellect, Buddha. And that is important, because that, if you don't understand that it is first and why, then you won't really be able to take this to the next level. And then so we got seasons, we have the order, and we have the direction, and all these things are extremely important. Yes.
Lovely. So to summarize, everything starts with a natural spread, and the natural spread, if you want to have an image of God, there it is. I mean, this is the most simplistic view of creation, because everything goes according to an order, a natural order. And I'm coming to this in a moment, but sort of I'm just going to mention this now. But sort of we are not outside of this order. We are part of this whole. So the cards, interestingly, bring us as close as possible in terms of an explanation sort of to who we are and how we act and react and interact to those natural systems. And they remind us that it would be useful to actually know those different cycles that sort of we are exposed to, and not only know them, but also as much as possible observe them, stick to them, because I always liken it to like a red traffic light. Everybody knows when there's a red traffic light, you stop. Here in South Africa, we call them robots. When you come to a red robot or a red traffic light, you stop. You don't have to. But it's smart to stop, because everybody else, that, because you've done driving lessons, everybody else is green and they are driving. But sort of you're perfectly entitled to cross the red traffic light with all the necessary consequences. And this is unfortunately what a lot of people do, because they neither know themselves, nor do they know the natural laws, the cycles they should be observing in order to live a successful, healthy, fulfilling life. That brings us to the right side, the so-called mundane or worldly spread. And there you see the same pattern is observed. So we still have 7 rows of planets. We still have 7 columns of planets. We still read from right to left and top to bottom. We still have 3 cards in the so-called crown line. But now everything looks a little bit, as we would call it in Afrikaans, de mekaar, which means a little bit messed up. But those who do know that there is a system, a process that actually, or a mechanism that leads from the left natural spread to the right mundane spread, the so-called quadration, where you have a deck of cards and they are then sort of distributed in a particular way. And normally, sort of, you would have your deck of cards. I'm going to show this. You have the ace of hearts at the top, then the 2 of hearts, then the 3 of hearts, and the 4 of hearts. And then you've got at the bottom, you've got the jack of spades, the queen of spades, and the king of spades. And then those cards are quadrated. They're like sort of put in a particular way onto 4 different stacks. They are recombined, and then sort of the whole thing is done again in a different manner, recombined again, and then you have this deck of cards again. But then when you take the first cards, you don't have an ace of hearts anymore, but you've got a 3 of hearts. Have a look at the mundane spread at the top right. There's a 3 of hearts. The second card is not the 2 of hearts, but it's the ace of clubs. The third card is not the 3 of hearts, but it's the queen of clubs. And the fourth card then is the 10 of spades, etc., etc., etc. So now we've got a different order, and this is the so-called worldly mundane spread, the human spread, where sort of we have 1 card based on our date of birth, right?
Brilliant.
And if you want to know which one your card is, we have to go back to the natural spread briefly. I haven't sort of I've omitted to actually create a slide for this, ash on my head. But if you look at the left side, you see the top right is the ace of hearts, and the ace of hearts is the number 1. The 2 of hearts is the number 2, 3, 4, 5, until the king of hearts is number 13. Then number 14 is the ace of clubs, and through the clubs, the number 26 is the king of clubs, and number 27 is the ace of diamonds, number 39 is the king of diamonds, number 40 is the ace of spades, and number 52 is the king of spades. So each of these cards have in their natural order 1 particular value. It's a so-called solar value.
I call it a star code too. It's the same thing if you read my book, so don't get confused.
Yes. So if you then sort of look at Karyn's, it's like shown small. We'll make it a little bigger. 52 star codes. Then sort of you can basically learn about your solar value. But we're going to tell you right now, because it's very simple to calculate this. You take the number 55, right? And then you subtract from number 55 the day of your birth. Right? You know, every day, the day you were born, you subtract the month and you subtract the months again. So basically it's 55 minus day minus months minus months. And then sort of you arrive at a value between 1 and 52. And if it's 0, then you were born on the 31st of December, because 31 minus 12 is 0. You know, sort of 55 minus 31 minus 12 minus 12, because 31 plus 12 is 55. So then you are the joker, and then the system doesn't apply to you because you can play your life any way you like. For all us mortal beings, we have a number between 1 and 52, and that corresponds to one of the 52 cards, and that is our birth card.
So let's take an example. I do it a little differently, but I like how you did that, starting with 55. Because you get to the same, you know, there's many paths up the top of the mountain. So I liked your path. I have another path, and maybe we can work with the audience and see if they can calculate their own birth card without having to look. You can look it up in my back of my book or go to my website under free readings, scroll down to the bottom, and you can look at your birthday and find your inner card and outer card. More that I call the natal card is the outer card, and the inner card, which is like a rising sign. People call it planetary ruling. You can just cheat and go to my website, or you can do Helmar's formula, and then I have a formula that I'll use, for example. I learned through example. A lot of people do. So let's use an example. So you can find out what is your birth card. What is your star code? That's important. That's self-discovery. That's the first step. So I start with the month. So take the month of the month that you were born. I'll use mine. I was born in November, so 11. And then we add the month again. So it's 11 again. Then we get 22, right? Then 22 plus 22 is 51. And then we subtract 55 from that, and you get a -4, but that's just ignore the minus. That's a 4. That's the star code 4. So that's how I get the 4 of hearts. So it's very important to know this math, because people look at me like, well, who is the one that assigned all these birth cards to all these birthdays? Some guy willy-nilly did that. I don't believe any of it. This isn't willy-nilly in any way. This is extremely mathematical. It's a true vidya, which is a Sanskrit word for math, science, art, and magic all combined. So if you want to calculate that now, and you can sort of go with it.
Do that again for me. You take your months and you take your months again.
In a month again. So I am 11. November is an 11. It's the 11th month of the year. So 11 plus 11. If you want to remember this, think of duality. The reason this formula is applicable on planet Earth is because we live in duality. So there's always the 55 is another duality. It's a 5-5. So people ask me, why do you use 55? Why not 52? 55 it's a long story. I understand it, and it is about duplication, duality. So the month that you were born, double it. This is 2 eyes, 2 hands. Just think of it that way. Well, 11 plus 11, 22, and then you get a 51. Then you subtract 55. And
why do you get a 50? Why do you get a 51 sort of when you have 22?
I messed up. I'm sorry. We have to add 29 to that. So,
there we go.
Yes, add 29. So 11 plus 29, that's the 51. And then you subtract 55. There's the 4.
There we go.
You want to do yours?
No, it's basically just the other way around. I start with a 55 and then sort of subtract the day and the months and the months. So you do months plus day, and then sort of you subtract it from 55, and there you come to your solar value. So I'm sure you've done this now. So whichever way you like, from sort of back to the front or front to back, very easy. And then you've got a number, and that is your solar value, and that is your birth card. And Karyn's got a 4, so it's the 4 of hearts. And for me, second example, Helmar's way, 4th of October. So it's 55 minus 4 is 51, minus 10 is 41, and minus 10 is 31. And you may remember, from 27 onwards, we've got the diamonds cards. So 27 is an ace of diamonds, 28, 29, 30, 31. So ace of diamonds, 2 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 5 of diamonds. So 31 is the 5 of diamonds. And now it becomes interesting, because what we do now, starting with the 5 of diamonds, Karyn, your moment of fame will arrive in a few minutes. If you look at the right-hand side, you will see the 5 of diamonds in the net mundane spread is in a particular position, and that is on the Saturn line in the Neptune column. You will see that sort of shining with a little bit of let me just do this.
Right above the Jack of Diamonds, yeah.
With a golden, right above the Jack of Diamonds, with a golden border shining brightly. There's something special about the 5 of Diamonds. I'm going to mention this. Very special, because the 5 of Diamonds is the only card in the entire deck that has 4 court cards in its planetary sequence. There's no other card in the entire deck that has 4 court cards. And you can see this, it's the Queen of Spades. It's a little bit small, but it's the Queen of Spades in the Mercury column on the Uranus line. Then comes the Jack of Clubs. And then on the left-hand side, it's the King of Clubs and the Jack of Diamonds. But you see that sort of, it's the last card on the Saturn line. So all its 7 planetary cards are on the Uranus line. With Karyn, it's a little different. You'll see that in a moment. And then we have 2 cards that are highlighted. One is in green and the other one is in red. The one in red is the 9 of diamonds, and the one in green is the 3 of clubs. What's the significance of that? If you look on the left-hand side, you see in the Saturn line, the 3rd card from the right is the 5 of diamonds. So the birth position, or the true position, the true place for the 5 of diamonds is actually the Saturn line and the Mars column. And in the mundane spread, look again over to the right. There you'll see in the mundane spread, the 3 of clubs has taken the place of the 5 of diamonds. So we could say in cardology that sort of the 3 of clubs sort of owes the 5 of diamonds something, or the 5 of diamonds is becoming or getting supportive energy from the 3 of clubs. And interestingly, Robert Kemp says the 3 of clubs is the author's card. It's the card of the spoken word and written word. And this is what I've been doing for the last 18 years, translating books, writing my own, having lots of talks and seminars and online sessions, hundreds of videos, etc., etc. So there's my supportive energy coming from the 3 of clubs. The red card is the 9 of diamonds. And if you look again on the left-hand side, in the Saturn line, on the Saturn line, in the Neptune column, right on the left-hand side, 3rd row from the bottom, is the 9 of diamonds. So the 5 of diamonds on the right-hand side displaces the 9 of diamonds in the natural spread. So that means that sort of the 5 of diamonds owes something to the the 9 of diamonds. It experiences that 9 of diamonds from the low side. So there's, if you look right again, the 5 of diamonds actually has its 9 of diamonds in its planetary sequence as its own Mars card. And that's quite interesting too. There are a number of cards that have the same, where the first karma card, it's called, is actually in the planetary sequence, and the green one is the second karma card. So see it in this way: the 5 of diamonds is sandwiched between the 3 of clubs and the 9 of diamonds. It owes something to the 9 of diamonds, and it's getting supportive energy from the 3 of clubs. Karyn,
Yes,
that's you. Over to you.
Yes. So people are probably wondering, well, what is this? What is he doing? If you have dabbled in astrology, or you are an astrologer, or you are not at all, what Helmar is doing is showing your similar to the life, to the birth chart. So if you've ever had your astrology reading done, they show you a birth chart, snapshot of the sky when you were born, and that never changes. It's a static birth chart. This is the same thing. This is your life path. Whatever card you came up with when we did the calculations, 2 months plus today, subtract 55, bam, there you have your star code, and it shows your natal card. Then you find it in the mundane spread, and from there we read from right to left, and we go 7 across. Really, you can go 8 to get your Pluto card, and in that direction you find what we could relate to as a chart. It is your life path. So this belongs to Helmar. This 5 of diamonds he just expressed, where he landed, and his cards going from right to left, he had to drop down, because when you come to an end of a row in this system, the way you read it isn't to go directly below, it's to actually jump over to the other side and start at that lower row. And that's where his life path begins. His Mercury card is in that spread, and then you can count 7 over, and that belongs to him for the rest of his life. All of those cards in that life path are assigned a planet, actually, so you can actually understand there's a Mercury, there's a Mars, there's a Venus, there's a Jupiter, a Saturn, and it goes in that order. So it's very telling. If you just know that much, you know a lot. Okay.
It's actually interesting because those 7 cards, once again, we're looking here at a fractal system. So these 7 cards, for the 5 of diamonds are, so Queen of Spades, Jack of Clubs, 9 of Diamonds, 7 of Spades, 2 of Clubs, King of Clubs, and Jack of Diamonds. Those 7 cards are the day cards of this first week of your life. They are also your first 52-day cards for the first year of your life. They are also 7-year cards, your first 7-year cards for the first 7 or for the first 49 years of your life in a way. And then they are 13-year cards for the entire system, because the system starts repeating after 90 quadrations. So each of those 7 cards stands for a period of 13 years, of 7 years, of 1 year, of 52 days, of 7 days, of 1 day. So there you can see how it's like layered, or sort of like a Matryoshka doll. It's like it's a small one, bigger one, bigger one, bigger one, bigger one, bigger one. So you see how those cards don't follow us, but sort of
They repeat. There's
they
a pattern.
repeat.
Yeah.
They influence our entire life. And that's why it's so important to gain an understanding of the cards. And as you dive in a little deeper with cardology, you also develop an appreciation for those individual, for those different cycles. So, you learn the cards and you learn the cycles. And the one thing, before we come to you, dear Karyn, or to your cards, is this. Nowhere have I observed in the other systems an emphasis on the holistic nature of the system. Because you may have been born with a 5 of Diamonds birth card or a 4 of Hearts birth card, but you get in touch with all the other cards as your life goes by. Because you will come into contact with every single card in a different frequency, but they will be part of your annual distribution of cards. You will displace a card, you will be displaced by a card, you will have a card as your Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune card, and your Pluto card. So basically you come in touch with every single of the other 51 cards. And that gives you the opportunity to learn about the quality of that card. And if you learn about the quality of that card, you eliminate blind spots in your life. And if you develop a certain level of proficiency in each of those 52 cards, then nothing can be added to your cup of happiness or life or abundance, because you know how to play every single card, because you know the quality. And when that element appears in your life, let's say Ace of Hearts, a new love, or 10 of Diamonds, manifestation of values, or 2 of Clubs, cooperation in terms of communication, or 2 of Spades, friendship card, or 7 of Spades, that heavy 7 Spades introspection spiritual card. You know, when that quality arrives in your life, you pull the appropriate card from the deck and you play it out. And I haven't seen this anywhere else.
Brilliant. Yeah, I actually live in the Neptune row, which we're about to look at. And anyone that lives in the Neptune row, we experience the most potholes. We fall flat on our face. There's a lot of blind spots on the Neptune row. People who chose the Neptune row didn't come here to tread water. We came here to make lemonade out of our lemons, because it's one of the hardest rows to live in. And why? Is because there are 2 portals in this row. There's a 2 of Spades and a 6 of Spades. And those belong to portals, which are when the veil is thin and they move in out of time. And you can either go MIA on some days in a black hole. People might hit you, in a car accident and get out of the car and say, well, I didn't even see you. Well, they probably didn't, because you were in a black hole that day in one of those portals. in a different density. And then the two of spades is more like a blue hole where there are altered states, and it's an interesting portal. It's not exactly as severe as the black hole. So there's those two potholes or portals, or what we can call afflictions. And then there are stargates. So we can talk about that another time, but just basically the red fours and the red sixes live down there in the Neptune row. And stargates are much like eclipses, and eclipses are transformative. They're not easy, and they're blips in time. So people who traverse this Neptune row are really walking the path of fire. I call it the Via Combusta. This is not an easy row. So I have both my cards here. When I meet my Via Combusta friends, I have a lot of friends that live in this Neptune row because we can all relate to one another. We've all fallen flat on our faces. We've all been blindsided. It's a very difficult row to have incarnated into. And I'm grateful for it because it's made me a better person, but it is the reason I decided to learn this system, because I wanted to know, how is everybody else not falling into these holes? Why do I keep getting blindsided? Why do I keep going MIA? Why do I have, watching other people kind of have more of the life on the merry-go-round, and while I'm riding the zipper and the roller coaster. And, you eventually figure it out. Well, wait, something's up here. I'd like a little more merry-go-round, but hey, I signed up for the Neptune row. So this is the tough row. And this is where we learn our biggest lessons. And we don't get enlightened just by getting a silver platter served to us. We get enlightened through adversities, and the light comes through the cracks, through the wounds. So in the Neptune row, you fall down quite a bit, get cracked wide open. Okay, so let's show my life path.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just want to go back. There we go. If you look at the mundane spread, and if you look a little closer, then it's actually, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but the mundane spread, the natural spread, God is easy. God, everything, the universe is easy. It's like it's complex, but it's easy.
This
it's easy to understand.
We're spirit. That is our home. We are coherent spiritual beings, but we're borrowing the mundane spread body. I call it the pea soup. To be down here in Earth in this thick density, it is chaotic. It is what you called man's distortion of God's plan. We're in the Kali Yuga. It's a pretty chaotic place to be, and it's a time frame. It's a yuga. It's a cycle, so it's not forever. Where we do belong to the natural spread.
Yeah, and in the natural spread, we see that it's so easy because everything is in a beautiful, harmonious order. Nothing sticks out, nothing is odd. Everything is just the way it ought to be. And the more you sort of concern yourself with the mundane spread, the more you recognize anomalies, things that are just sort of like odd. For instance, because Karyn is like born into a Four of Hearts, and the Mercury card at the right at the bottom right of the Neptune row, you'll notice that the Neptune row only has even cards. There's a 4, there's another 4, there's a 2, there's an 8, there's a 6, there's a 6, and there's a queen. And if you, for instance, look at the Saturn row, there's a queen, but then there's a 5, a 3, a 3, a 9, a 7, and a 5. And that's why sort of people sort of who have a lot of cards on the Saturn row find that life just as difficult, because the even cards give you like order and stability, but sort of probably not enough sort of like impulses. Well, that's something that the Saturn row sort of can't really complain about, because they get impulses all over the place, and they sort of find it difficult to actually apply them and find sort of peace and order and structure in their life. And if you look at the Neptune row, there's a 7, another 7, there's a 5, there's a jack, there's a 9, and a 2. So also a row, characteristic.
Row? You lost me, Helmar. Which row are you in?
The Venus row.
Okay.
The Venus row, 2 7s, sort of anyone sort of like, and now we sort of can really go off on a tangent, because if you look at the Ace of Spades, which has all its planetary cards on the Venus row, because the Ace of Spades is sitting right at the top left, and And then it has 2 red 7s and 2 black 9s. And sort of the 7s and the 9s are very difficult for humans. Why? Because the 7s represent the spiritual cards, meaning the combination and the interaction between the spiritual side and the earthly side. And a lot of people have problems with spiritual aspects of their life. And the 9s represent the last or single digit number before we come to the 10s, and they are about endings. And people usually have problems with endings and letting go, and sort of getting rid of habits, long established habits, so finding closure and saying, okay, I need to end this, I need to let this go in order to manifest on a higher and more beneficial level for me. So people, like the Ace of Spades or the 3 of diamonds next to the Ace of Spades, they have challenging life paths, because also a lot of change, not much stability, and then those 2 7s and those 2 9s that are sort of like throwing the spanner in the works like big time.
That's probably the second hardest row, I believe, the toughest row. And it's interesting because Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, so there's some interface there, and you can see the binary black 9s and the binary black 6s are in the same alignment
7s.
and right on top of each other, in the same rows. And in my mind, I've seen them do this with, I know that might be out there, but there's an energetic Ferris wheel where they are riding each other, or the blacks go upside down to the 6s and 9s go upside down with each other. So there's something connecting those 2 rows, no doubt. And that I'm glad I'm not in the Venus row, but then again, it's not. Yeah, I don't know which one.
Sorry, I'd lost you. Okay, so there's the two black 9s in the Venus row and the 2 black 6s right below on the Neptune row. Okay, I've never seen it that way.
Yeah, there's reciprocity between those 2. These are our stargates, which are half outside of time, and that they're 2, so binary, and to create the stargate. And so part of them are not in this time frame, and they blip out, and they rotate like this. So the 9s go around and down, up through the 6s, and the 6s come back up to the 9s. And the 6s, when you meet a 6 person and you're a 9, they can spin you to a 6. They can turn you upside down, not make you feel so good. And the reverse can happen if you're in a 6 and you meet a 9 of clubs in the black suits. Then they too can turn you upside down, just in a proverbial way. You just feel like, I feel off. They just turned me upside down. Well, literally, this is I don't know, what would this be called? Ferris wheel. I don't know. Yeah.
Elevated but that mundane spread really is an absolutely fascinating field of exploration. And the more you look at the details and also the patterns, because that process of quadration that actually leads from the natural spread to the mundane spread, there's some order and structure. There's something, there's mind and a deep connection to nature and the universe, sort of the invisible part that has gone into the quadration process in order to arrive at the mundane spread. And it's like really fascinating sort of to look at some cards and how they are related. And if you're really interested in that, and you'll find out. I mean, it's like, for me, it's like amazing to see what that mundane spread sort of reveals.
So much. It tells the story of life. It's the archetypal story of everything, right down to the incarnation of Jesus, all the kings, all the wars we have. You can read all of that right through this mundane spread.
You can indeed. And as you start with the system, you'll notice sort of 3 different levels here. It's actually sort of, let me actually show you, because I can show you by just showing the logo. We'll be talking about the app. We're a bit late because we've gone like right into the spreads. But if you look at the logo at the top right, you'll see a circle, you'll see a square, and you see a triangle. And that logo is actually a representation of the card system, because you have 45 cards that freely move in the spread, and those are the 45 variable cards, and they represent the circle. And then you've got 2 card pairs that switch position. They are never in any other place in the spread, in the mundane spread, and in each year, but they're only shuttling between two positions, and that's the Ace of Clubs and the Two of Hearts, and the Seven of Diamonds and the Nine of Hearts. Double Venus, Seven of Diamonds, double Saturn, and the Nine of Hearts, and then the Ace of Clubs on the Mercury row in the Venus position, and the Two of Hearts in the Venus row in the Neptune position. So none of the 45 cards can ever get there. And none of the 45 cards can also go to the triangle, and that is the three fixed cards. That's the King of Spades, right at the top of the crown line on the left-hand side. The Jack of Hearts, which is in the Venus row on the Jupiter column, right in the center. It's like on the nail to the cross. So if there's the Venus line, there's the Jupiter column. And then on the Mars line, right on the left-hand side, the the Eight of Clubs. It's also fixed cards. If you look at the the natural spread, you'll see the Eight of Clubs in the same position. You'll see the Jack of Hearts in the same position, and you'll see the King of Spades in the same position. So there we've got the triangle, we've got the square, and we've got the circle beautifully encoded here in this logo.
It's a beautiful logo, Helmar.
Thank you.
Powerful too. Yeah.
We've got Peter. Peter's watching. The Via Combusta is an astrological term that translates from Latin as the burning way of fiery road. Lovely.
Yes, that's very true. And there is literally Via Combusta at the tail end of the Scorpio in the galaxy. How all these constellations are ruled by a planet. Well, Scorpio is the tail end, is the stinger. And nobody wants to live in the stinger of the Scorpio. And that is literally called the Via Combusta in the sky. And the Neptune row is quite like the path of fire. It's really not a lot of reprieve, because even the Queen of Hearts, you think, oh, well, she's so sweet at the very end. Well, maybe that's not so bad. Maybe that's one little bit of reprieve. But no, because,
the Queen of Hearts is, it's the loving mother card, Mary Magdalene, but so they can be completely and utterly unhinged. It's double Neptune. It's like if you can't get hold of, can't get a grip on them. It's like they are like double Neptune. It's like they're all over the place.
Yes, yeah. So it's really not a lot of reprieve when you think, okay, well, the red fours are a Stargate, kind of eclipsy, and then you got this Two of Spades. Oh my gosh, it's the blue hole portal. Oh my gosh, then the next card is Eight of Hearts, all this drama, and it is also part of the red 8 Stargate, so it's a north-south Stargate. And then you have the black sixes, which is another portal combined with a Stargate, and then you think, oh, well, the Queen of Hearts will save us. But no, because that black 6 Stargate, when you add the star codes, the 6 of Spades is 45 and the 6 of Clubs is star code 19. Add those together, subtract 52, you get 12, the Queen of Hearts. So she's a troublemaker.
Big time.
She's the ruler of the Stargate.
Peter's got another question.
Yes.
Karyn, what can you say about the Two of Spades in the Neptune row?
This, every card has a light and a dark side. So it is part of what I affectionately term the blue hole portal. It's not as severe as the black hole portal. The black hole portal, people can actually, it's a death portal. You can just kind of go missing on that portal, and it's an end. The Two of Spades is more a portal where you have altered states, afflictions, addictions, and on the negative side, unfair exchange of energy, where you can be a friend, but it's the friend that takes, a taker friend. On the other side, the light side, you could meet a Two of Spades person who's overly giving, wants to help so much. She's your friend, but there's still an unfair exchange of energy. It can be friendship on the upside. Let's just say, if everything was hunky-dory, you meet a Two of Spades and they're highly evolved people, highly conscious, loving person that has, made lemonade out of her lemons and has been accountable and done her work, she will be your best friend. However, if you get a person who embodies the Two of Spades, hasn't done their work, and they're a victim and they're a pointer and they're shaming and blaming the world, then they're always they're like energy vampires. They want more than they will give. And that can distort things. It also represents drugs. So Two of Spades people have affinity for wanting to go into altered states through drugs. Even if you're a diabetic, it's still a drug. It's something that is an outside substance that isn't always healthy. The 2 and the 6, whenever they come together, create a portal for drug abuse, and then the 6 and the 9 create a portal to go maybe missing, or just for a day, or life. So hope that explains.
It's also interesting because the 2 always has that element of dependency, and if it's because it's a friendship card, it could be like very codependent, because the 2 emerged from the ace, and now all of a sudden like is looking for the mate, and in a positive way that is beautiful when you find your mate, but sort of in a negative sense you can become too dependent on that mate. Well, interestingly, like in the sequence, then you come to the 3, which like sort of introduces another friend, so it's not the only one, but you have to be careful that sort of you don't become codependent or even dependent, as you said, on the drug side.
Yeah, I hope that answers the question. Yeah,
Karyn, we are like sort of past the hour. But sort of to anyone sort of watching this, either sort of now live or later on, I'm sure you'll agree that sort of we have here really an absolutely fascinating and relatively little known system that helps us not only learn more about ourselves, but also learn more about others. And we'll be talking about that just now. And if we start with ourselves and just get to know our strengths and get to know our weaknesses, that has such a profound impact on our life. And our life is not just us, but it's also our interaction with others. So in other words, the more we know about ourselves, the better we can handle ourselves, the more we can eliminate those blind spots, the more harmonious our environment will be. Our interaction with the family, with the friends, with colleagues, with life in general.
This is really, I think, the most important thing. That's right. It's the relationships. It's one thing to discover yourself, but who are you without another? So I like that you're talking about this as the next step, relating to others.
Absolutely. And let me have a look. We are there.
Let me talk about the 2 of spades for a minute, since we're on the 2 of spades. So I've met many people who literally make a 2 of spades composite. So we're going into composites just for a minute. And it's a simple concept, not to lose anyone. But my star code is 4, for example. And well, I'll use my friend, actually. My friend, who is my Stargate partner from college, she's a 4 of diamonds. We both belong to the red 4 Stargate. And she is a star code 30. She married this guy, born on September 26th, and he's the Jack of Hearts. So that's star code 11. 11 plus 30, add that up, and you get 41. Right?
And that's a 2 of spades.
That's the 2 of spades. 2 of spades is not a good composite to make when you want romance in a marriage. So they're now going on 40 years of marriage, and it's been celibate, and 25 years of no sex, but they work together very well. She's the bookkeeper, and he designs these sort of chimney, I don't know, he's an artist. So they work hand in hand, and spades is all about work. It's literally the upside down version of the heart, and it's black. So the romance fizzled in their relationship pretty quickly because of the 2 of spades, and it caused dysfunction. She's suffering. She never cheated on him, but imagine, she was a beautiful woman, and he would not have sex with her. This is not the only situation I've seen where 2 people fall in love because they're friends, and the 2 of spades makes you feel like, wow, this is someone special because this is compatibility, but it's not enduring for a romantic marriage. Unless you want to give up the sex and just work together, then it's okay. So she's made the best of her life now. just moving on and accepting that she married into something that would just be celibate, but she's very stable as far as money and her job and all the other areas of her life. But this is what happens when you make a 2 of spades with somebody. My daughter had the same experience with the guy she dated for 5 years. It went celibate, but they were best friends. They played the guitar, they sang, they did so much together. They were such good friends that they actually were fighting like brothers and sisters. They were inseparable. It had a codependent quality, and it also encouraged her to do more marijuana and, you know, addictions, and it encouraged him to alter his state. So this 2 of spades, I say, is one of the most dangerous composites to make if you're looking to have longevity, tenacity, and romance in a relationship. It's just one of those tricky cards.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the spade suit is far away from the heart suit, you know, because the heart suit is all about romance and the lovey-dovey side, and then sort of there comes the clubs, and then comes the diamonds, and when sort of you finally sort of on the spade side, then you've left that behind.
Yeah, it's just,
you know,
it's
sort
just
of the winter quarter or the winter season is not really made for that. It's the spring season. That's when the juices are flowing. That's when sort of life wants to unfold. And in winter, it needs to take stock. It needs to recuperate. You know, so and that's the really sort of the opposite of, you know, sort of lovey-dovey romance and love.
Which would be the 2 of hearts. If you make a 2 of hearts with someone, the right side of heart, the juicy hearts, we're looking for that, all of us. I mean, they write love songs on finding someone that you could experience 2 hearts beating as one, that united at the heart feeling. That is a beautiful thing, and every birthday has 1 card, maybe 2, I think, that create that. For me, the Jack of Spades, star code 40, and my star code 4 would create the 2 of hearts. And I have met the Jack of Spades, and I did feel that way.
The Jack of Spades is the star code 50.
Yes, and is a January 3rd and a February 1st, with only 2 birthdays.
Yeah, yes, only 2 birthdays. Yeah. So what you can do if you've never heard about this, and if you've like found out your sort of your birth card for the first time today, go into the internet. First, find your position in the mundane spread. You know, sort of look on which row you are and which column you are, and make a note of that. And then sort of, if you're not astrologically inclined, sort of go on the internet and sort of look up the astrological qualities of your planetary row and your planetary column. And then sort of you get a good idea of sort of what you were born into in this lifetime. For me, as a 5 of diamonds, I'm on the Neptune column in the Saturn row, and those 2 couldn't be further apart. You know, Neptune has all those visions and all those ideas, and then Saturn says order, structure, and that doesn't make it particularly easy for anyone born under the 5 of diamonds, of which there are plenty, namely 11 in the year, 11 5 of diamonds.
Well, you've got 4 cards in your life path, so that's a very helpful thing. Thank God you have those.
Yeah, sort of. It's what I've noticed. It's not easy. With my thoughts, I've noticed that, like, obviously I've sort of done a couple of sort of revolutions around the sun. I'm often 10 to 20 years ahead of my time. I mean, we've designed software in the late 90s, early 2000s, and this is like a quarter of a century ago. We've designed software whose features you won't find in today's software. And we were developing messaging software, like instant messaging software, and now you've got Telegram, you've got Signal, you've got WhatsApp. And those messengers, even a quarter of a century later, don't have the features that we were using and that I was devising at the time. And you can say, oh yeah, I'm so brilliant, sort of, but it actually doesn't make things easier, because very few people actually understand you, because your mind is like so far ahead that sort of they can't really follow you anymore.
I understand. I have empathy for that completely. You are a visionary and a pioneer, and that can feel lonely until people catch up with you.
Yeah, 20 years later.
I know.
Right. Let's have a look. A practical example. We have had a look. Just to recap, we had a look at the 5 of diamonds. There you see the chord cards in the planetary sequence. And we have spoken a little bit about the first and the second karma card. The one you owe, which is the red one, the first karma card, because that's the one you're displacing in the natural spread. And the second one, in my case, the 3 of clubs, which displaces me in the natural spread. So there I get supportive energy. And when I read this, 3 of diamonds is the author's card. And I started doing all this, the publishing side and the
3 of clubs.
The 3 of clubs. The 3 of clubs, I started doing that relatively late in life. But then it became clear to me that this is what I was supposed to do. And at last, I actually found out why I'm here, what I'm supposed to do. And also with my 9 of diamonds that I'm displacing, which is my Mars card, not exactly helpful. But I realized sort of why me, as a 5 of diamonds with fluctuating values, also has the first karma card with a 9 of diamonds and says, let go, be generous, right? And the amount, the thousands of dollars that I have given to other people, I don't want to count. I mean, if I had saved them, sort of, I would be a rich man. I've been dishing out freely to people sometimes that I didn't even know, just because they needed it. I had it. I said, I can generate it. Here, have it. Here's 1,000. Here's 1,500. Whatever, sort of, and generous to a fault, quite literally.
That's beautiful. That will actually help you. When you give, you will receive.
Yeah, that's just where we're getting to that point. Okay, we have spoken about Karyn's cards. She also has karma cards because she displaces the 4 of spades. And if you look at the left-hand side, at the bottom right, there's the 4 of spades in the natural spread. And she is displaced.
Back up a minute. A lot of people don't know the word displace. It took me a while to figure out, what does that mean when they say displace?
Well, the displacement means there's a position in which there's a card and in one spread, and there's the same position in the other spread is taken by another card. And if you displace, let's say the 4 of hearts displaces the 4 of spades, so it means the 4 of hearts has put itself in the mundane spread in the position where in the natural spread you'll find the 4 of spades.
Beautiful.
And in the natural spread, the 4 of hearts obviously is right on the Jupiter column there in the center of the Mercury line, right at the top, underneath the Queen of Spades. And in the mundane spread, you'll find the 10 of spades there. So the 10 of spades gives or owes the 4 of hearts, which means the 4 of hearts gets a lot of supportive energy from the 10 of spades. And they can be workaholics, so they can be like sort of very driven and very good because they're 10. That's a manifestation, and it's man before God. It's like sort of through the sequence, the 1 in front of the 0. And but Karyn has, it's interesting because we were talking about this the other day. She displaces the 4 of spades with the 4 of hearts, and the 4 of spades reminds Karyn to bring more order and structure into her life, because it is a very ordered and structured number, the 4, and it's a very ordered and structured suit, the spades. And Karyn, with all or most of her cards on the Neptune line, is sort of like very far out. And the 4 of spades is that constant reminder sort of to come back and get your feet on the ground, because Karyn is like all over. She's into the universe, she goes into the universe, but then she needs to come back, take her shoes off, ground herself, walk barefoot, sort of be in touch with the soil, with the earth.
Which
That's
I
very,
did,
very important.
By the way, it's a beautiful spring day. I did go barefoot. Yes, I am grounding. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, we are sort of now moving to the last aspect or last part of our live stream, and it's the relationship aspects. I haven't done a slide for that, but sort of Karyn, I'll go back to the spreads. Let's talk about relationships. What's the benefit of the cards or cardology in terms of relationships? But before we get there, I just want to show Claire has a question before we go and come to the relationships. Can you speak about the composite of a Jack of clubs between 2 people? Oh, I do this, and then
you do it because you have a Jack of clubs in you.
I've got a Jack of the Jack of clubs. If you look at the Jack of clubs in the mundane spread, it's on the Uranus row in the Venus column. The Jack of clubs, it's a club suit, which means it's about communication. It's about intellect. The Jack is a court card, but it's not a queen and it's not a king, it's a Jack. And the Jack are the androgynous cards. So it's neither male nor female. They've got all the perks of the court, but none of the responsibilities. Jacks love to play. So Jack of clubs is a composite card. They love to play on the mental side. They can discuss until the cows come home. They have to be very careful because, give you an example, My brother is a 7 of clubs. He's sitting right. He's my moon card to the 5 of diamonds on the Saturn line. So I have a Jack of clubs in Venus. He's got a Jack of clubs in Mars. And you can not only, well, you cannot imagine how that looks like when the two of us discuss things, because there's Venus, mine, I'm more on this on the sort of reserved side, and there's his in his Mars position, very aggressive, and the two debaters before the Lord, very brilliant on the mental side, and they can clash like you've never seen before. So the Jack of clubs as a composite card, they can have an enormous amount of fun when they explore things on the mental side in terms of communication, ideas. So it's that Jack energy that wants to change, that wants to improve on a higher level because it's a court card. But at the same time, they don't want to grow up. They want to keep playing. Jacks don't want to grow up. Jacks are the sort of the prince and the princess. They don't want to have the responsibility of the king and the queen. So there can be a lot of mental exploration, but there can also be, if it's not handled well, they can be probably quite harsh in terms of wordings, because they're very, very sharp as a composite card.
Mm-hmm. So the upside would be they're playful and charming and creative and intellectual and can communicate well, and it might keep a spark alive. And then on the downside, you'd say, how would you describe the downside of the Jack? Maybe
the downside is that they can debate. They love a debate, and they debate for the sake of debating. They don't want to take sides, because they don't want to. It's neither king nor queen. So they just take opposite sides of what you're saying, and that you need to know that if you meet a Jack of clubs, or if that energy prevails in the relationship. That sort of sometimes it's just debating for the sake of debating, not in order to arrive at some kind of conclusion, but sort of in another way. So if they want to change and they want to improve things, long term. That's.
I agree with you, and would add that it also could inspire you to both be a little more immature than you normally would be if you were with someone else. So the union might instigate trouble, because children can be trouble, and these are the children of the deck. So you can get into trouble, and you might be very evolved and mature when you're with someone else talking away over chai or something, but then you're back with your lover and you make this Jack with your lover. It might bring out the immaturity factor. But if you instead, now you have awareness, you can, instead of going into the darker side of the immaturity level of the Jack, you can bring the charm of the Jack. You can bring the innocence of the child, playfulness, and keep it, keep the upside going, because so many relationships don't have that playful aspect. So play more. Play more.
Well, that's one thing, and sort of another thing is that what Robert Kemp once said: if you look at a card, always look at the underlying cards. And if we look at the underlying cards of the Jack of clubs, we first notice that it's displacing the Jack of diamonds in the natural spread. So there's another Jack.
Yeah, it's very Jack.
And the Jack of diamonds in the mundane spread has all cards on the Neptune line.
Yes.
Because it's Karyn's moon. It's Karyn's moon card. However, the Jack of clubs in the natural spread is displaced in the mundane spread by the 10 of hearts, which is magnificent, because the Jack of clubs gets the supportive energy from the 10 of hearts, and that is the manifestation of love, and it is a very popular card. So that composite card gets a lot of attraction on the emotional side from that 10 of hearts. Because the 10 of hearts,
to be honest.
Say again?
I don't really like that 10 of hearts very much.
The 10 of hearts as individuals are not easy.
Their life path is challenged. They have a 5 and a 9 of hearts in the life path. I think it kind of, it's not what it's all cracked up to be, that 10 of hearts, but I don't want to rain on your parade. Let's stay positive. Go ahead and tell us how great it is.
It's about, because 10 of hearts means popularity with a group of people, because the 10s is not individuals anymore. The 10s means more people, many people. It's like the Uranus quality in a way, friendship, and sort of it's on the emotional side. So there's a lot of popularity, a lot of love energy supporting the Jack of clubs, because
Yes,
the Ten
that's
of
the
Hearts.
upside of it. That's absolutely true. Yes, groups of people. It's like a wedding card, not a marriage card, a wedding where people are celebrating, or a yoga class where everybody's chanting and loving one another and talking about spirituality. This groups of people with lots of hearts around them.
So Peter says something in German. I know a Jack of Spades that der als Kundin von allen Shops,
I don't know what that says.
no, sort of that's der als Kundin, die als Kundin. Okay, der Bube he's been asked by sort of all the other chefs whether she doesn't want to work in sales. And there's the Jack of Diamonds. Sort of, I'm just checking the connection between the Jack of Spades and the Jack of Diamonds.
Not sure
Jack
I
of
understand the question.
So Peter, maybe sort of you can sort of like shed some light on this.
Rephrase it.
So maybe it's actually a Karo Bube. I don't know whether he actually meant sort of a Jack of Diamonds. It's a Karo Bube, not a Jack of Spades, because the Jack of Spades is not really related to the Jack of Diamonds, other than it's a Jack.
I'm not sure of the questions, and I couldn't speak German, so you lost me.
No, so Peter will have to translate that. So Claire, maybe so you can shed some light, or sort of let us know sort of how that works out for you. So that Jack of Clubs energy between two people. Now, very youthful, very playful energy. The clubs, the Jack energy, and sort of clubs is communication. Clubs is mental. It's exploration. It's growth. It's the summer suit. That's a summer season. A summer suit, summer season. It's about growth. It's about more. And because so clubs stands for the mental element in the deck of cards. So very light-hearted, but sort of I would be not careful, but just cognizant of the fact that sort of they are the debaters before the Lord, so they can just argue and argue and argue for the sake of arguing, and there needs to be some peace in there. So one of the two need to maybe at some point pull the plug if that argumentation aspect becomes too dominant and strong. That's what I would say. But otherwise, they're the Venus card on the Uranus line. So there's a lot of Venus energy in there. There's a lot of loving energy there. But Uranus is unpredictable. Sometimes they can maybe sort of blow hot and cold. And remember, sort of this, the Jack of Clubs is the Venus card for the Five of Diamonds. So in the Five of Diamonds, the ladies Edith Randall and Florence Campbell said, good but temporary companions. So maybe that applies to the Jack of Clubs itself too, sort of, sort of where there's a little bit of, sort of not really wanting to take responsibility, not wanting to grow up. That's something that sort of all Jacks have to learn during their lifetime. We wanted to talk about, we did talk about relationships. So the thing about relationships is that, sort of Karyn, for instance, a beautiful example. I'm a 5 of Diamonds and Karyn is a 4 of Hearts. Karyn is the 8th card in my sequence. All my, sort of direct planetary cards on the Uranus line, and then so the 8th card is the 4 of Hearts at the bottom right on the Neptune line. So Karyn is my Pluto card, my direct Pluto card. So for Karyn, for me, it's like transformation. And it's like, the way I read it, it's like my transformation is to find stability in relationships. So it's like the antithesis of the Jack of Clubs, basically, in Venus. Temporary, but good, but temporary sort of companions. So there's the Five of Diamonds needs to learn to bring stability and satisfaction into his emotional life. So there's a card that is like sort of directly related to me, because that card is in my sequence, my direct sequence. So basically, sort of, you would look at cards, and you would try to find the relative distance of these cards to each other, or to one another. And you can do this manually, but sort of you can also do this with the app, and sort of we are very late when it comes to that, because we're like heading for an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to just switch over briefly. Here I am, and sort of what you see on the right-hand side is a screenshot or a mock-up of the app that I've been busy writing since May 2024. So since May last year, and it has now been released. And one of the features of this app is that you can not only sort of enter yourself and find out what your birth card is and your sort of day card, period card, year card. You can look at your sequence. You can read up everything about the cards and the long-term cards and the short-term cards. And you can also do a relationship analysis. And that is actually a beautiful thing. And I'm busy setting this up. Karyn, tell me a bit more about, what you think about the cards and relationships.
It is the reason that I am still studying this, because I'm finding it to be so insightful. For example, today, if we opened Helmar's cards, on the daily basis, we can see each day we are assigned a vertical card and a horizontal card. Helmar has our composite today, which is representing our union. So he and I make the 9 of diamonds. So he's the 5 of diamonds, I'm the 4 of hearts. And when we add our star codes together, if any star code goes over 52, when you add them, you always subtract 52, come back under 52, and that's your composite code. It's actually a portal you create. So the 9 of diamonds is present in Helmar's spread today. And it's interesting because when I see clients, it's helpful for me to know these things. Sometimes, someone might not show up, or they might cancel or stand me up or forget or something. So I will look at the day. If they aren't in the day, if they aren't actually, their natal is not in the day, or their internal isn't in the day for me that they're assigned for their reading, or our composite isn't there, then there's a big chance I might not see them that day. But we're seeing each other today, Helmar and we are together, and that is showing in if you open his chart, you can see today, like if we look 10 years from now and go back to this day on March 29th, you will see 9 of diamonds, which is a reflection of the Karyn and Helmar show. Does that make sense?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We are going back to our slides, the relationship aspects. We're talking about that. And I just want to see if I can bring this in. I certainly hope so. Not the entire screen, a window. There we go. So I'm going to show you a window, add to stage. Okay, we have to remove this.
I could say so much about composites and relationships.
There we go. So what I'm going to do now is, so we do like a fluent sort of change over from one to the other, but sort of you'll notice the significance to this. And let me just sort of show you in all its glory the way this thing works as my sort of emulator. This is the app startup now on a tablet, sort of a little bit bigger than on the phone. And you get a gold flash in the logo when you have a subscription or paid for it. But just a quick word. I don't want to make it long because that warrants another video. So I've been busy working on this app, and Karyn sort of quite likes it because the way it operates. But I said to myself, I want to have the app on a mobile device, because I want to reach millions of people with this app and with the system as such. Millions of people. And I don't want to have the computing power on a server, and I don't want to have the data on a server. I want it on your phone. That's where it resides. That's where your data is. That's where your contacts are. That's where your processing power are. And on a mobile phone, you can also share this beautifully. So you can share this with friends and make them aware of this information and the system. So this is now the app. Sort of the app actually accesses. Let me just do this. There's Karyn with a birthday, but sort of we're going to make it anonymous. You can click on the contacts and then sort of anonymizes the contact. Then you just see the initials. And with the birthday, so let's take me. That's fun. So there we go. So you choose a contact, but the contacts come from your phone. So the app will ask you about the permissions to access the contacts, and the contacts are really only used inside the phone. They're not going anywhere. You usually don't have yourself as a contact on your phone, so there's a default contact which you enter sort of right at the beginning, and then sort of you can check this. There's your default contact. That's Karyn, and then you have all the contacts from the phone. This is not just my testing environment. And when you call this up, you see immediately sort of what your in this case me, what your birth card is. Today's card is a King of Hearts. I'm in a Jack of Clubs period, and I'm in an 8 of Diamonds year. I can click on any element here. I can click on the zodiac sign, and then I get to the zodiac element of the life analysis. I can switch to the planetary ruler and get everything that I get for the 5 of Diamonds, get for the Jack of Clubs as well. Oh, that's an Ace of Hearts today. Lovely. And a 10 of Diamonds period. I love it. And a Queen of Spades here. I love that too. It's my Mercury card. And it's the Jack of Clubs Moon card, by the way. I can switch back to the birth card. If I want to see what the day card is tomorrow, I can just sort of click on the arrow here. And then it gets a green frame or green border, Ace of Clubs. Next day is a 9 of Spades. And so on and so on. I can reset this by clicking on Reset Date, and then it goes back to the King of Hearts. I can see I'm like sort of 12 days in my Jupiter period.
And the period is 52 days. It's a 52-day period.
Yeah. That's actually, if you add these up, they turn to 51 because today is the one day. So 12 days have passed, and there's a remaining of 39 days plus today is 52.
Beautiful.
That's 12 plus 39 is 51, and that's plus 52. So that's it. Then I can go to my next period. It starts on May 1st, 2025. I can click, and then a little drawer opens, and it shows me where I am. There's my Jack of Clubs in Jupiter until the 30th of April, and 1st of May, King of Diamonds in Saturn. So I can click on this back, and it goes back. I can click on my day card, and it's sort of I get information about the King of Hearts. You notice that sort of it actually is in English, but the text is in German. And that is because HR here, you can see, has his cards in German. I can switch this to English to make it sort of easier, reload the app quickly, and then I get the text in English. So as you've got an interface language and you've got a text language, because you may have someone on your contacts which is sort of not speaking sort of your mother tongue. And then you click on it and you get the information in English. You can also get it in French or Spanish. And then if you have premium version, then you sort of can access the calendar, the preview, and see the King of Hearts, Ace of Clubs, 9 of Spades, just as I've shown you.
These are the day cards. Tomorrow's 23rd.
That's it.
Ace of Clubs tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what it says. Weekly day card preview.
Beautiful.
And then sort of if you want to see the next 4 weeks, today's Saturday, King of Hearts, then you see the next 4 weeks. So it's just the same cards, just a different one. This is like the calendar months, and this is the next 4 weeks. So there we go. And then you can click on the period card, and then sort of you get your Jupiter period, Jack of Clubs, and you have quite a bit to read what it means to have a Jack of Clubs in Jupiter. You can share this on using your favorite messenger or sort of clipboard, and then pass it on to someone else, which is quite nice. You can click on any of those tabs, obviously, sort of to read up about your year ahead, because each one has like 52 days. Your Pluto card, there's quite a bit to read on Pluto, especially if you have the premium version, transformation deep dive, which is quite nice. And obviously there's also some information about the 10 of Clubs as a results card. So there's a 10 of Diamonds and a 10 of Clubs. If I look at the spread, there's a 10 of Diamonds and there's a 10 of Clubs. Pluto card, results card.
Well, what is this spread? What would you call this spread?
Well, this is my 50. This is my I'm 58. This is my distribution or spread. This is the 58th quadration, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I can see this year I've got an 8 of Diamonds. As an annual card, we've already had this. I'm displacing the 3 of Spades here. there's the 3 of spades in the spiritual spread. So I'm displacing this, and the card that displaces me is an 8 of spades. So the 8 of spades is basically, should be like a green one, but that is my support card this year. So if you go back to your thingies here, your challenge card is a 3 of spades, and your environment or results card is your 8 of spades.
Beautiful.
So there's some short information about that as well. This
Very
is your life.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Here's a life analysis, sort of about overview about the 5 of diamonds. Then there's detail, the card 5 and the 5 of diamonds. So there's plenty to read. That comes from Sacred Symbols of the Ancients from Edith Randall and Florence Campbell. So there's plenty to read here. And then sort of we're talking about relationships. There we are. So now you can choose 2 people. Okay, let's take Karyn and let's take Helmar. It's quite extensive actually, because now we can see how the birth card, Karyn's birth card on the columns here, and Helmar's birth cards and planetary ruler and karma cards for the birth card and planetary ruler, 1K and 2K, are related to each other. So we see there's the Pluto thingy, because sort of Karyn is Helmar's Pluto card. So Helmar is Karyn's Pluto card on the reverse, backwards. And then there's Uranus and there's Saturn. I mark them red because they're challenging in relationships. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but it's challenging. Uranus is more about friendship, and Saturn is someone is the teacher. So in this case, my planetary ruler and her planetary ruler are Saturn to each other, which means one of us is taking on the teacher, and that's not always easy in a relationship where that sort of you have to submit to someone else. And in fact, I think it's my planetary ruler that is Saturn to Karyn's planetary ruler, and that's where it's interesting, because Karyn said this the other day. She said, I let you take the lead, so you're the teacher, so to say. You can also check this at birth, and you notice that sort of now we don't have the birth card and the ruler and the karma cards for those, a 6x6 matrix, but we've got a planetary matrix, which goes from Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and the results card. And you've noticed that I've marked the diagonal or the cards diagonally. Her Mercury card to my Mercury card, her Venus card to my Venus card. And because we are related, because she is in my birth spread, that means that sort of there is a pattern here that you see that is quite noticeable in this spread. Sort of it's all Pluto, 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 Pluto. So all our cards are Pluto to each other, highlighting the transformative sort of aspect of our relationship. And you can see that sort of I see it becomes more obvious now, because Karyn is in a Mars period and I'm in a Jupiter period. So if we look at this year, then we see that sort of she is in a 4 of spades in Mars. There we go. And I'm in a Jack of clubs in Jupiter. So I'm on the lines, on the rows, and Karyn is on the columns. And where they intersect, we can see this year there's nothing special. There's no planetary proximity in our period. So the 4 of spades and the Jack of clubs are not this year not really related.
Yeah.
But you can see not all of those highlighted areas or boxes are relevant, because sort of you move. In other words, I move first, so I move down with my rows, and then sort of Karyn's comes with her columns, because she's later in the year. And then you can see sort of the period that actually overlaps is between the 30th of April and the 4th of May. So we basically have a very short overlap.
Yeah, like a week. Yeah.
Every year. Yeah.
Less
where
than
we have like, yeah. And in this, well, now it's a 2 of clubs, and it's a Jupiter-Mars conjunction, because it's Karyn's Mars and Helmar's Jupiter. So you can see it brings enthusiasm and drive to your endeavors. It's time for self-confident action, expansion of your personal goals, and confident pursuit of your passions. And this is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, it's very interesting to do this way, because you can track the relationship in 52-day cycles instead of just like a broad stroke over the year.
That's right. And sort of in the app, I still add like a visual indicator to that highlights the overlapping time, which if in our case is really, really short. But it's only short in Mars and Jupiter. You know, when sort of you, let me see who moves first. 5th of May, I move first.
Yeah, you move on the 30th of April.
Yes. And then I move into Saturn.
Saturn, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'll be in Jupiter. Thank God. I can't wait to get
there
to
you
Jupiter.
go. So in other words, sort of I go to Saturn and she goes to Jupiter. Then we've got a Pluto conjunction here.
Yeah. Pluto isn't all bad either. It is the part of transformation. A lot of people end up with their Pluto because we're here to transform, and that's the fastest way is through your Pluto card. You will transform.
Absolutely. So then sort of to look at to finish off the relationship thing, we've got 2 more elements that I've added for the premium and VIP customers. I can send a request to the AI. So it takes the initial or the name and the birthday and the cards, birth card, ruler, and the karma cards, and sends this live to OpenAI. That's the only time when actually data leaves the phone, except for when you pay for it. Obviously, then sort of that's been handled by Apple or by Google. So now sort of it takes that information and gives you a lovely analysis of person 1K, person 2H, with the birthdays and the birth card and the ruler card. And then it gives you an overview of the relationship, the positive quality of the dynamic, the challenges in daily life, and the practical recommendation with psychological holistic approaches. So there's plenty to read, and I find this. So what I've done so far, the requests that I've done so far, I find those rather accurate. So that's very, very good and very helpful to have that as well. And lastly, if you want to check the name, obviously in this case it's Karyn.
He's doing letter values now instead of using the birth time or birthday. There's another way to do compatibility using frequency of the name. So my name is Karyn, his Helmar, and that holds its own frequency aside from our birthday. So it's another entire way to measure synastry. So go for it.
Yeah, no, it's just sort of sort of the 43 is the sum or the value of her first name, and 23 is the value of her last name. That brings us to a 14 because that's 66, and if we take 52 off, then sort of we arrive at 14. And for me, it's 31. It's interesting because my first name is also the solar value of my birth card, the 5 of diamonds.
That's so cool that Helmar is the 5 of diamonds. But you know what's not so cool is that 43 is the 4 of spades. It's my shadow card, so it's not so good. But my grandfather named me that, so I thought about changing my name, but it's not so great to name your child their shadow card.
No,
but here I am.
I'm sure you didn't know. So Rudolph, Rudolph turns into a 16. 16 is a queen of 14.
30. I'm sorry. 3 of clubs is 16.
It's actually my second. It's interesting. That's Helmar's my birth card, and the 3 of clubs is my second karma card.
That's really cool. You are supposed to be a writer.
Well, sort of that's what I've been doing in the last 18 years. Okay, our composite card is a 9 of hearts, and then sort of I also created some, core meaning, relationship interpretation.
Wait, no, 9 of diamonds. I'm confused. Oh, that's right. This is our names. I'm sorry.
This is our names.
Yeah.
So we together sort of, represents fulfillment, emotional completion, the closing of a chapter. As a composite card, it signifies a relationship that brings emotional lessons to a point of resolution, often making significant personal growth. This card suggests a relationship where both individuals learn deep emotional truth that help them evolve. It can indicate the fulfillment of a shared purpose or the need to release past attachments for greater emotional freedom. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. This is my favorite part of your app, by the way, that you do these name things, because I believe this name thing is so powerful.
Yeah, so wrapping up here, we've got like 5 different elements in relationships that you can analyze, because I thought it's like very important that people know sort of how they energetically relate to each other. And the cards do this very nicely through the birth cards and the ruler and the karma cards for those 2 cards. then sort of how you relate to each other, sort of at birth for us, because we are in each other's sequence. So that's why we have like a pattern here. If I relate Karyn to, let's say, BM, then it looks completely different. Sort of that's 13th of February, sort of 13th of February is in her Mercury period, sort of this year. There you go. Mercury and Mars, and have a completely different makeup. So you can just sort of, you see, it does it like on the fly. It analyzes that and it pulls in the cards and gives you some really, really nice indication of how that relationship sort of operates. So there you go. Then sort of we've got here sort of a notifications, basically sort of you see who goes when into which period. So FB goes on the 5th of April into 9 of Spades in her Jupiter. There we go. And PB on the 4th or 11th of April goes into 8 of Hearts. So you can see which of your contacts are experiencing period changes. And the people sort of who are listed here, you can actually choose in your settings right here under notify. So it's 5 people. I did 40 days, which is quite a bit. If let's say if you take 14 days then and restart the app, then it looks completely different. But sort of under 40 days, pretty much everyone sort of goes through a period change.
Are these your clients that you track so that you can stay on top of what's going on in their world?
No, I haven't yet. So you see, like 14 days, only one person, on the 5th of April goes into a new period. But it's just so nice to see, what's coming from them. You would usually do this for your family, I guess.
Friends or family, yeah.
There's a new section, sort of when sort of new things are released, and you can see the releases at the moment are really like sort of very close. 20th, 17th, 14th, 13th, 11th, 8th, 7th, sometimes 6th,
Wow.
4th. So I'm adding features, fixing things all the time at the moment. And we are sort of, we are nearing sort of like version 2.0. What else? Settings we've got, and then sort of, obviously on this emulator, I'm not related to a Google account, so it doesn't show. But sort of here you can basically buy the thing, and then there's an about section as well that explains, sort of how the system works, how you empower yourself. Just a little sort of intro if you're like completely new to this thing. So this is what I have done because really I want everybody to learn more about their cards. I would like everybody to gain a deeper understanding about the cards in general. I would like everybody to learn about the cards of those near and dear to them. Because if you know how someone else is wired, what cards they play, then you can develop understanding and harmony. So that is it's just excellent for interpersonal relationship, and it can be that knowledge can be acquired very, very quickly and easily using that app. So it's a trusty companion. Privacy is guaranteed. Everything stays on your phone. That was very important to me, that nothing leaves the phone, except for when you actually sort of either pay for the app or when you do a relationship analysis. But then no contact information is being transferred. Everything is on the phone. So which also scales nicely, because then sort of billions and billions of people or millions and millions of people can use the app, and sort of I don't have to worry about data centers and stuff, because the data center is on the phone, and the privacy is there, and the sharing ability is also there, so that you can spread the news. So that was a bit.
Just tell us a little bit about the price structure. If you have it free for the basic, just overview,
yes.
And then
yes.
What are the if you pay this, you get what, and then you pay this.
So what you've seen here is now obviously the full version. Maybe sort of one thing that is worth sharing is if you have the VIP version, which is about $180, depending on the country where you live in.
It's a one-time payment, though. It's not every.
It's a one-time payment. So we're starting with the most expensive one, is $180, and in that version, you have access to all the contacts you like, across all the years you like. And that you can see here with the navigation buttons. So I can go sort of quickly sort of see sort of like, oh, when I'm 73, where am I? Or sort of I want to sort of understand something from the past. I want to see, okay, sort of what happened sort of when I turned 42, or 41. What was happening there? So I can look it up, and in the background it actually changes the text. So if you go to the period here, then you see that it's like 2006. And I had a 7 of hearts in Mars. So
How far can you go back? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was looking to study the civil wars, and because I'm an astrologer.
Sort of, this is
how far back?
I think technically we've tested this, or we've stumbled across this almost by accident. I think it's not like 1920 and something like this. So you can't really, in this app, it's more made for persons. It's not made for historic events that date back a couple of hundred years. It's not made for that. Then sort of the calculation fails for whatever reason.
1920 is okay. That's good.
Yeah, but here sort of you can really go back sort of to your birth year, and even if you go to your birth year, there's a little cake here, and if you then sort of go to your period cards, then you see your life interpretation, and then you'll see that sort of your life interpretation is your 4 of diamonds in Mercury because it's your card, your 2 of spades in Venus, your 8 of hearts in Mars, your 6 of clubs in Jupiter, your 6 of spades in Saturn, your Queen of hearts in Uranus, your 10 of clubs in Neptune, Pluto is 8 of diamonds, etc. So there's your life interpretation, and sort of also the reward, what that means. So that is really beautiful, because that version has like everything. It has all the relationship levels. It has extended texts, and sort of you can go through any spread, any distribution of any year that you like within that person's sort of birth range, so to say. So you can try to sort of put someone in born at 17 something, 76 or something like this, then the system would probably fail, but sort of it wasn't meant for that.
Okay.
That's the VIP version. Then there's a premium version, which is also one-time payment. It's like $80, which is not exactly earth-shattering. But sort of then the only difference to the VIP version is that you can only look at this year's distribution, and then sort of up to 2 weeks prior to the next birthday, then you can also look into the new year.
One year up, just 1 year.
1 year up, 1 year up.
Okay.
Sort of when you've got, then sort of you pass through your birthday, then you get the next distribution. But it's not, you're not looking ahead. So that's,
you can't go 2 years from your birthday. That would be the $180. But for 80, we go 1 year up.
That's right.
Predictions. Okay.
And remember, there is no limitation on the contacts. If you want to have 200 contacts, if you want to analyze 200 people, you're most welcome to. The app doesn't restrict you. And then there's a $20 option. It's every year. That's a subscription, an annual subscription, $20. And there's currently, price may change. And then there's a monthly subscription for $2. I mean, and that's like, it's not even a cup of coffee anymore.
That's nothing. Right.
Sort of, and I might change that because if I wanted to make it affordable to everyone, even in countries that have sort of lower purchasing power than Europe and the United States. So I want to say people, okay, $2, that's worth it. Sort of, I'll go for it, and I'll see how that pans out. But I may have to increase the price, because if the price is increased, then the perception of people is different, because I think it's like so cheap it can't be good. But I think what you've seen is that the app is actually sort of quite magnificent.
It is
what it offers.
You've done a wonderful job. It's so worth it. Every dime you spend. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We are nearing two hours. There's a.
Yes, I have to go, unfortunately.
You have to. You do have to go. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to wrap up. Add this to the stage. Karyn, wrap up.
Well, I am really grateful that you have this, because I can use this so easily to teach the system. And it's really a great synergy, because without this, it just would be harder for people to use this in a practical way. So why teach something that isn't practical? So you have made this system so easy and accessible, practical, and it is going to start becoming mainstream now, because it is something people can afford to look at. and they're not going to be intimidated by it now because it's on a phone, and everybody has apps, and apps are the new thing. So for me, I'm really grateful that I found you and this app, because it's going to help me, because my goal is to teach this and bring it to the world. And without you, it would be harder. So thank you for that. And I am going to be opening my school soon, probably this summer. Maybe if I can do it a little sooner, I will. Got a lot going on right now, but I want to get this knowledge to the world. So it'll be like a 1-year certification. And I'll be working with Helmar's app as it's going to be synergistic with my school. So as I promote my school, I promote Helmar's app.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that sort of, and sort of anything that sort of will promote the app and sort of bring introduce it to more people is welcome, and not for my personal benefit. Yes, well, if I do benefit, then sort of I think I've deserved that. But just in general to make more people aware of the system, because the system is beautiful. And remember, you watching this video now, I mean, so if you're going to be one of the first, I've got like 4 eyes there, so 4 people are watching this live stream at the moment. You're going to be one of the first. We know that astrology is big, very big. We know that Vedic astrology is also very big. We know that numerology is very big. And so those latest off spins of astrology and combined with I Ching, that human design system, and then gene keys have also sort of gained sort of popularity over the last couple of years. And the Cardology has been sort of a bit more on the fringe, and I think it deserves much more attention because it's much easier to understand. And to like close the circle, we are culturally close to the cards because we all played cards. We've all played cards when we were young in one way or another. And, different cultures, different games, but sort of the cards are known to us. We've got the cards. We don't have astrology. We don't have numerology. We don't have gene keys or human design in our language. We've got the cards in our language, firmly entrenched, different sayings and phrases. And that shows us that they culturally, they sort of hold a deep and significant meaning in our lives. And if you acquaint yourself with the system, you find out that it's never going to leave you. So that brings me back to the young lady sort of from Russia who introduced me to the cards in 2012. You will never look at people with the same eyes again, she said. And she was right.
Right, yeah. I don't remember people's names, but I remember the cards.
and the other thing is I mean, I think that's also what Robert Kemp said, sort of, you read people like a book. If you know their birthday, you read them like a book.
Yeah, the birthday tells it all.
The birthday tells it all.
Yes, it does.
Because you know, sort of like when you acquaint yourself with the system, first of all, over time, you know where they are, you know where each card is. So when you know what birth card they have, you know where they're located, you know what the planetary sequence is. So that's the first thing, you know what their karma cards is. And if you have the app, then sort of you can quickly glance at where they stand this year, and sort of what their challenges, but also their strength or opportunities are this year.
Brilliant.
And you know more about them than they do, and sort of basically that means that sort of that you, if you want to, you can help them, understand themselves better, and by you knowing, you can help them know about the cards too. And I think that's a really nice thing, because then we all develop more understanding, first for ourselves and then for the other. And the implications of that for humanity cannot be underestimated or overestimated.
All right, my friend, I have to go. I'm late.
Yes. So we are now sort of coming. We are at the end. Karyn goes. I'm just going to show the app again. And sort of I say, Karyn, thank you very much.
Thank you, Helmar. It was so much fun.
That was so much fun. It was much longer than we anticipated. But sort of when sort of two brilliant minds come together, then sort of depth and stamina. Sort of like endurance. That's That's the outcome of it. And then I hope sort of that we have informed you, dear viewers of this live stream, too, and has sort of maybe sort of has it aroused your interest in the cards. You know where to find us. Karyn, you can find at 52starcodes.org. And if you're interested in the app, sort of it's on the App Store. Sacredsymbols.app is the website, and there you find intro videos, some textual information, and the links to the stores. It's free of charge. Enjoy it. If you want a premium version, go for it. It's really affordable, really for everyone. And it's the first time, but certainly not the last time that sort of you'll see Karyn and I here and sort of alive and kicking. And we shall delight you with more information about Cardology, about the app, and about your life. So also from my side, Helmar Rudolph, thank you very much. Karyn's got the last word.
Well, we can do this so that you can bring your questions in, like the way Claire and I forgot the other German
Peter.
But this would be a very nice way to understand the cards by bringing in your own personal questions. So come up with a couple questions, and Helmar and I will come back, and we don't have to necessarily teach concepts in theory and show demonstrations about the app or the cards. We can literally answer your questions and be helpful that way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So Peter says, thank you very much for these interesting insights into the 52 playing cards. It's been a great pleasure. We shall always remain with peace and blessings. The trailer follows. And thank you very much for watching. It's been long, 2 hours, but sort of I'm sure it was worthwhile because you've been introduced to the cards and sort of the mystique behind it, but also the science behind it and the tremendous value and benefit behind it. And you've also seen the app, which I recommend you download straight away. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Helmar.
It's been a pleasure.